Hi, Islamic Dad here. If you like this channel, please subscribe. It does help me out. So I had done a video on the phases of the relationship with the narcissist, and that prompted a question from a viewer regarding what could possibly be going on if there was a situation where it was almost the opposite, or well, I'll just dive into it. So the situation is that this person had met the narcissist, either through social circle or through, work. And at that time, the narcissist was very cold, distant. It sounds like at times even, rude, inconsiderate, maybe, negging, stuff like that. But, overall just pretty negative and not really having any interest in this person at all. And what, not very many interactions, and what interactions there were not pleasant. So this went on for about 8 or 9 months. And then out of nowhere, the narcissist changes their tune and approaches the target and is friendly and nice and polite and considerate, and they start conversing more, and then they, I assume, go out on some dates and move forward very quickly, straight into the love bombing phase. And then it's as you would typically, guess. The confusion comes, and I do understand, where her confusion is coming from, because everything you read, everything you find online, just assumes that the two of you just meet and kaboom, fireworks, and you guys date and you hook up and you get into a relationship and you go right into love bombing, and that's just the way it always is. And, this is a good example of, how people can kind of shoot themselves in the foot, thinking that all narcissists are the same, and that all relationships with a narcissist are the same, and that all, everyone's experience is the same. There's there's enough similarities out there to kind of form these models to help understand, but there's always going to be outliers, and this is one. And I was asked to see if I could kind of, maybe throw my take, provide some clarity, maybe, on what was going on in the situation. And so, it's a very different situation. And so, I can't say with any certainty that what I'm saying fits, but I can certainly, try my best. So narcissists, as everyone talks about the playbook, they all, it's almost comical. They all act the same. They all say the same things and use the same lines and behave the same, et cetera, et cetera. And once you get past that, and kind of, study this longer and get deeper, you see that the reason for this, to a large extent, is because they all have the same motivations. They're all coming from the same place, which is why they all act the same. And so because of that, while narcissists, are kind of cuckoo crazy and very often do things, that on surface level just sound or look nuts, you'll, once you've been around a narcissist long enough or read up on it, you can kind of see these things coming, and you can kind of guess where they're going. And they're just, they're odd, but maybe not surprising. And so I think that this situation kind of fits in that category. So, skipping, past all that, getting to the meat of the video. Narcissists, have very specific motivations. And one of them, when they're interacting with people, just kind of, in general, is they're going to do like, an evaluation, so to speak. So they're going to say like, okay, who are you? Are you an important person? Like, where are you on the social totem pole? Are you a rock star? Are you a famous actor? Are you someone that owns, an apartment building? Drives a Porsche? Something like Maserati? Or are you someone who works at the local store for minimum wage, and you live in a studio apartment, and you dropped out of high school, and and they just kind of judge you that way. I mean, again, like, not because any of that stuff is bad, but, and this is where I'm going with the second part, because narcissists think in utility. And so the reason that they're evaluating people when they come in contact with them is not because they're like, oh, that's impressive. To a large extent, they couldn't care less. They are thinking, what can this person do for me? If I'm seen with them, will that make me look better or worse? Can they help me get another job? Can they help me date this person or impress this person? It's very much utility. And so, and that's as far as like social utility. The other part is just, let's call it personal utility or functional utility. Is like, okay, what can this person do specifically for me? Can they clean my house? Can they clean my car? Can they do these spreadsheets for me at work? Can they get me out of this meeting at 3:00 so I can go play golf? Can they teach me, how to be better at tennis? Can they fix my computer? Stuff like that. I mean, it's very, very, to me, it's just incredibly gross. But I mean, the narcissist views people as objects of utility. And so, where I'm going with all that is that I would assume that, the situation you described, that where the narcissist was at that point was that they were probably in a relationship, and it was a relationship that was still, maybe it was in the devaluing phase, but it had not reached the emotional discard phase. It was just kind of steady, as I experienced for, a couple of years, where the narcissist, is not overjoyed, but it's working out enough for them. They haven't reached the point where they're just filled with disgust and resentment towards their partner. They're just like, okay, this person's not perfect. They're human, but, it's okay for what it is right now. So it sounds like that, the narcissist that you met was, that's where they were. And so they were not actively looking for, real supply. They were certainly taking notes, but they were not looking actively to replace their current supply. And that when they inventoried you, they made the judgment, okay, this person's not a VP. This person is not someone that's going to paint my house, walk my dog for free, stuff like that. And so after they did, the social inventory and the personal inventory, they didn't see any reason to be nice to you. I mean, and that's the thing that I'm saying. Like, sometimes people overcomplicate narcissists. They're actually just, these at the emotional level of like a 3-year-old, and they're really simple-minded in how they go out in the world. And so they just, this narcissist met you, thought, okay, what can this person do for me socially? What can they do for me personally, functionally? I'm not seeing anything either way. No, there was no value in being polite to them. There was no value to them in being considerate or nice, or asking you about your day, or anything like that. I mean, at that point, to them, you were, as my kids would say, an NPC. You were just taking up space, in the office, or taking up space in the social circle. So that's where they were during that period. But again, narcissists do take inventory. I mean, I might even do a video on this at some point. And it's almost like they have quite the Rolodex. I mean, up here, where they might have not dozens, but maybe hundreds of people in their Rolodex that they can kind of flip through and kind of say, okay, is this person single? Or are they attracted to me? Could they be single soon? If I flirted with them, would they be attracted to me? What would be the utility of a relationship with them? What would be the value with that? Kind of ranking people in their Rolodex. And so even though the narcissist was just like, okay, this person is not, worth my time, being nice to, because I can't get anything out of them, they still stuck you in the Rolodex. And it sounds like, in spite of how they treated you, that you were kind of high up in the Rolodex. So it might have been something where they thought, okay, this person's empathic, they're compassionate, they seem like a nice person, they're intelligent, they're good looking, they're, sexy, they are, they have a good heart, they, are, caring for others, they are a bit naive, a bit innocent. They try to view the best in people. They try to make the best of any situation that they're in. They have potential for growing both as a person in the future, but also maybe, socially, career-wise, the future looks bright for them. Like, they are not going down in life. They're actually, they have a trajectory that's going up. And so they may, the narcissist may not see any value in you at the point when they meet you, but he's putting all that stuff in his Rolodex. And so, again, I'm just totally guessing that in his relationship, he reached that point of the emotional discard, and at that point, it was time to pull out the Rolodex and start going through. And he would be actively putting out, feelers, talking to various women, getting an idea of like, okay, who's available, who's not, who would be the easiest to start a relationship, who's the most receptive, who would be the most easily to manipulate because they have a good heart and they always want to see the best in people. Who's the most empathic? Because that's the thing. Another aspect that like people just kind of glance over is that the narcissist is basically a walking mother wound, and so they want the love that they never received as a child. That's like their reason for existing, and so that's why they're looking for empaths. They want someone who loves 110%, like someone who gives it all when they're in a relationship, because they didn't get that as a child. And so when they find someone in, when they're like on the prowl and they're looking for their next like main source of supply, and they come across someone who, they're like, okay, this person's got a big heart, they're going to focus like a laser on that person, and they're going to they're going to prioritize them over the other people in their little Rolodex at that point. So I assume at that point, he's starting conversation. All of a sudden he's nice, he's humorous, asking about your day, maybe flirting a bit with you and stuff. And again, like, I don't know the timeline, but I assume he's doing this before he's done with the other relationship, and that there's a period where he's done the emotional discard, but he's not, the relationship has not ended one way or the other. And so he's just, kind of testing the waters, finding what's out there. And then it reaches a point where, that relationship ends. He's, officially single. I mean, at that point, officially single for like what, 5 minutes? and at that point just dives head first into the love bombing and getting you, hooked, and trying to get you into a relationship as strongly and as quickly as possible. So I think, that would be my guess based upon what I've read, all the stuff that I've heard, that's kind of what comes to my mind. I don't have a crystal ball. Again, I'm just assuming that he was in a relationship when you guys first met, just because that would make the most sense to me. So hopefully this video has been helpful.